Hi, Doug McCon of realityme.net here. I am a fan of fountain pens. Where'd it go? Specifically, my favorite are the TWSBI's. TWS, this is the Diamond 580. It's not going to focus. But it's a TWSBI. There's their logo. It's TWSBI. What was it? Taiwan's best. I forget what. There's a couple of different explanations for what TWSBI, TWBSI, stands for. But it's, there it is, TWSBI. TWSBI, Taiwan's best instrument. I don't know. And I think that's made up anyway. These Diamond 580 limited edition colors are my favorite. I broke the cap on this. I've got a new one I just haven't put on. There's my green. I love this one. And my colors, color coded. This one I need more ink, which I just had a chance to buy some. I didn't think about it. The colors are color coded for my Techo for different tasks and organizational purposes. And then I use a Lamy Safari. There it is. Lamy Safari for kind of the daily grind. You know, this pen is an entry-level pen. If something happens to it, I'm not that heartbroken. And then I have a everybody starts off with a why am I drawing a blank on this one? This is Pilot Metropolitan. Pilot Metropolitan. Everybody has these. Everybody has a Pilot Metropolitan. And this. After you move away from your $2 pens, which I can't find mine right now. I've had, you end up with these $2. I can't even remember the name of them, but it's a $2 fountain pen, and you get what you pay for. You put the ink in, and it evaporates right out. With this, this ink will stay in here forever. It won't just evaporate away. It's a tight seal. It's a twist off. Everything about this pen, it's a decent $60 pen is what it is. So, this is a $15 pen. This is a $15 pen. Then you get down to the $2 pen. So for daily grind type of stuff, these don't really evaporate. These work really well. They feel good. Sometimes they feel, to some people, they feel better than the $60 pens. But then you step up into the $120 to $400 range, and then of course you can get all the way up into $6,000 pens. I can't, but I can do a $60 pen. Although I don't want a lot more of those. Where am I going with this? I got a box. Got a box from Goulet pens. Okay, they're kind of like, when I think about them, they're the Cadillacs of pens. And then you've got jet pens, the kind of more the Nissan or something. And it's and you've got those. You've got Anderson pens. You've got Birmingham pens, which is fantastic. They're a little small shop up in Pennsylvania. I recommend them. Goulet is kind of a, jet pens, honestly, is probably my go-to. But I like Anderson, several others. And but jet pens is where I get my Hobonichi Techo from, and it's probably the first place I look. Then I like to jump over to Goulet for certain products. And we have cardboard. In this one, Goulet always does such a phenomenal job. They were the first company that I ever ran into that gives you candy. And a lot of them give you stickers. Makes us very happy. I like my stickers. And then they'll have a thank you card with a person's actual name on it that is that is not a computer generated. She signed it. Look at her. Wow. Look at that penmanship. And I packed your order with slightly ridiculous amount of care to make sure that the writing products you love would arrive safely today. I'd love to hear what you think. So there's a feedback card. This is a new one. This looks like a little bit of marketing. And an empty box. What do we get? What do we get? All right. What we got in here, a couple of ink samples. All right. I color code my ink for certain things, and Private Reserve is an ink that I really enjoyed writing with. And I couldn't remember if I wanted the American Blue Fast Dry or the Lake Placid. I've used both, and the way I deal with my inks is in this book, along with the maps. In this book, I got into fountain pens. Actually, I started this after. So I got in fountain pens sometime before February 26, 2016. I've got a different book that I was using to do this. But what I do is, every time I get an ink, I write it down. I write down what pen it's in and what the ink color is, and I do a little squishy thing over here. So I can tell what, when I last inked, which inks I liked. So here's the Jinhao. Jinhao is the cheap pen. So Jinhao, and you can see right here, the Jinhao, the American Reserve. I really, really liked that blue, which is why I'm trying the sample again, but I'm not going to do it in a Jinhao. I've got a Pilot Metropolitan that's going to go in. And you notice up here, there's a blank spot because I have an ink. If you get an ultraviolet light, it's invisible ink. However, the problem with my invisible ink, and the invisible ink I'm using is Noodler's. It's called Blue Ghost. It looks like this in the bottle. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ink. So that's Noodler's Blue Ghost. It works under white light, like this. That's interesting. But as you can see on the paper, you don't see it. You don't see it. And then under black light, it glows blue. So the problem I had with this ink was I was using it in one of those cheap pens. And matter of fact, I can tell you what I was using it in. Where'd the flashlight go? I was using it in a Jinhao 250. So inexpensive pen, $2-3 pen, and the ink would evaporate out almost as quickly as I wrote with it. So I wasn't able to really do what I wanted to do with the pen. And what I did with the pen, why do I want invisible ink? I would go into a business meeting and I would have my notes in front of me where I could use my regular pen and write notes. But sometimes there were things I wanted to write down that I didn't want the people in the room seeing, and I would use my invisible ink. I just put the paper in front of me and I'd write in invisible ink whatever it was that was private to me. And you say, why didn't you use electronics? When I'm in a business meeting, I don't want to be on my phone because it looks like I'm not paying attention to you. So if I'm taking my notes on my phone or I'm taking my notes on my computer, it looks like I'm dividing my attention between you and me, and I'm making these electronic devices more important than you. In that meeting, you or the customer, whoever we're talking to, you're the focus. And if I'm on the computer, for all you know, I'm taking notes about the meeting, I'm taking dictations, or I'm doing my other work. I'm ignoring you. So I don't do the electronics. I like paper. I like watching the flow of the ink come out of the nib of the pen. The shine, the sheen, just the mechanics of it. Watching the ink adhere to the paper and dry. It's poetry. It's poetry. I'm an electronic guy, but man, this stuff is fun and cool. So I would write my notes, my private notes, in invisible ink. Yeah! You recognize the logo, TWSBI. And their packaging is always really cool, really nice. This one is one of their Ecos. So this is a $30 pen, $36, somewhere around there. And what you get out of this one, come on, cut straight. This is a pretty pin. So, oh, got that tape on the other side too. I guess I could just peel that off. We'll just draw a line through it. Or we'll peel it up. I think I got it. There we go. Ta-da. So, TWSBI. And the small print under it, say what it is. Inspired by writing. So this is what it looks like. These are going to be some instructions. This is what it's going to look like inside your box. And what you've got is the pen itself. And this is probably a little lube for the seals if you take it apart. This is a tool for working with it. And when you open this up, what you've got, this is a luminous pen. So I think it's just, again, I'm into poetry. We're going to have the invisible ink in here, and I'm hoping that, like the diamond, you see the difference between these pens. Heavy, light, really good feel in the hand. This feels a little cheap. I'll be honest, this feels a little cheap. And but it's still a TWSBI, so I know what it's going to write like. This says no alcohol. Don't drink out of this pen. Don't clean it with alcohol, because they're telling you the plastic's going to melt if you do that. But what you've got is a luminous pen, so that if I were to turn out the lights, it's going to glow just like the ink. Oh, that's what I ran into with the with fountain pens. You clean them out, you flush them out, you have ink in here, and then like this one, I've kind of been using this orange brown ink in it. I could flush it out and put blue or black, but the thing is, like right now with no ink in there, if I put a little distilled water in here, this pen would probably write for another week. Ink is just a dye and water. So you can have very little ink in here, very little dye, and it will impact your ink. So with the invisible pen, using that Jinhao, I could never get it clean enough. And when I put the invisible ink in there, every time I'd start off writing, it would leave a little line of the blue highlighter that I had tried out in it before. Because I had this blue highlighter ink, and I was like, let's see what it's like. And so you draw, and it would be a little bit of blue, and then it would disappear. Which, if I'm trying to make a secret message, that's an indicator that there's something on the page. That blue line might make you go, hey, I know Doug writes in invisible ink. There's a blue dot there. Let's get the... And I don't want that. I want it all invisible. This is going to be my dedicated invisible pen. Now, TWSBI's twist. Don't pull. You'll strip the threads. This, I think I got a medium. You'll find that the nibs come in different sizes, like medium fine, extra fine, bold, 1.2 millimeters. And it affects the way the ink lands on the paper. And you know, you might use a broad for calligraphy type stuff, or specific calligraphy nibs. There's a whole rabbit hole of things you can go down for this. But each manufacturer's nibs, you know, a fine in a TWSBI might be a medium in a Pilot Metropolitan. You kind of have to play with them. And I was rolling the dice on this. I figured since it's an invisible ink that I want a bigger nib than a fine or extra fine. Now, my other TWSBI, this piece comes off. This one doesn't. I wonder how you fill this thing. Woo. All right, at this point I have to stop and read instructions, because the Eco is not like the Diamond the 580, where you can remove the I'm having trouble with the words today. This is the section. This is the section. So I don't know how to get ink in here. Otherwise, I'd show you it filling up. This video is going on too long anyway. And this is a piston piston one. So what's probably going to happen is I'm going to probably extend this piston all the way out, stick the pen down in the ink, and suck the ink back up in. Yay! Now I can go back to my spy job. You've been watching, Doug.